Welcome to second day of Cannes. My name is Thomas and I'm joined by some amazing marketing leaders here today, and we are having a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, which is around boldness and building brands that matter. No doubt about it, sustainability has been facing quite a little backlash these recent years. Judging from the age of all of us, we've been through this a couple of times. So I'm very happy that we're taking an approach around boldness. And so the first question I really want to kick off with, instead of looking at the negative sides of what's holding us back, what is it that actually excites you about this? So have a think about that. But before then, let's just have a bit of an introduction here of our lovely panel. Let's begin with you, Maddy, and then work around.
Hey everyone. So I'm Maddy Cooper and I'm the founder of Flourish.
I'm Preeti. I'm the head of sustainability for Asahi Group. For some of you who don't know us, we are a food and beverage company in 180 markets. We make 22 brands and we make about 19 billion in revenue. But just to tell you a few names, you may know Peroni, you may know Krollsch and Pilsner Urquell.
So Preeti, for those people who live in those 15 markets, that doesn't have you guys there. Exactly, the 15 countries in the world, yeah.
And we probably help the other people also in a similar field. So I'm Deb from Diageo, maker of brands including Guinness, Johnny Walker, Baileys, Smirnoff. So normally Preeti and I would be considered as competitors, but in this context, having a conversation about sustainability, it's all about collaboration. So that's where I will now pass on to you.
Thank you, Deb. So I'm Lisa Merrick-Lawless. I'm one of the co-founders of Purpose Disruptors. We're a non-profit based in the UK, working at the intersection of sort of advertising, marketing, creativity and culture. That's probably enough for me for now.
Great. So as I said earlier on, there's been so much talk about the negative side of sustainable marketing. And so personally, what drives you? What is so exciting about sustainable marketing at the moment? Who wants to kick off with that? I can see the excitement.
I'm going to go
right?
first.
Yes,
I'm going to go first.
I knew I can, yeah.
I think for me, the only way to think about this is as an opportunity, because that gives you the resilience and I suppose, and the energy to really tackle. Honestly, the thing that really excites me about this and why I continue to work in this space is the chance to change things that have always just been the way you do things. And to really radically disrupt. So I think I've always been a radical disruptor from a very young age, and now I'm lucky that I'm in a space where I might do radical disruption in a way that can help the planet as well as the business I work for. So that's what gives me energy and excites me.
Cool.
I'm happy to go next because similarly, I think the people actually for me. So what I'm seeing is just the stepping in of more and more people who want to disrupt the business as usual and who have kind of bigger ambitions for what might be possible. And I think the energy that you need to do this work, because it's not easy work, right? And the energy you need to do the work comes from the sort of people who you're surrounded by. So I think that's what's really exciting. And being here at Cannes, I can't believe how many people I know here at Cannes this year doing this work. So yeah.
It's amazing. The movement is growing, and I think that's a testament to a reason to be optimistic. Maddy?
Yeah, I think definitely the movement is growing and wonderful to see so many faces here today. But I think for me, the thing that's really exciting is for brands to be, marketers to be able to kind of see the light that this is the festival of creativity and marketing. What most people really need to be able to do is attract Gen Z and younger audiences. Like that's what all brands need in order to stay relevant and be really desirable. And the future of our planet and society is what those audiences really, really care about. So I'm really excited about enabling marketers to see that that's the opportunity to create that kind of connection. And with that, it's true, proper, authentic marketing. Sustainable marketing is the future of marketing and really brilliant, authentic marketing.
Maddy, what I also want you to do, just very, very briefly, for those of you who don't know Flourish, because we had a bit of an introduction here in terms of Purpose Disruptors, Diageo and Asahi. So what is Flourish, just to kind of put a nail in that?
Thank you. So Flourish is a sustainable marketing platform that enables brands to turn their sustainability truth, all of the things that they're doing, into marketing messages that are desirable for their target audiences, but are compliant, because that's a really tricky thing, is making it marketing that's both compliant and also really compelling and desirable for those audiences. So we have a platform that enables all of that for brands.
So very soon, globally known, very soon.
Indeed.
195 countries, but what excites you the most about?
180. Let me start by talking about people who are not excited about this. I think if you're not excited about this, it's just because you're not excited about it yet. If it's not working, it's just not working yet. And I think it's really encouraging to see sustainability and marketing come together, because to me, they're very complementary. Sustainability is bringing the science and the credibility and the data, and then marketing is bringing the beautiful storytelling around it. And if you put it all together, I think it's going to be a beautiful campaign to behold. And I know there's a lot of talk about greenwashing and green hushing, but if really we put our minds to it together, sustainability marketing is a match made in heaven, ideally. And it's not game over, I think it's game on.
Amazing. It's almost like, in some aspects, marketing is from Mars, sustainability is from Venus. How do we do that bridge building? And I think, Deb, in terms of the journey that Diageo has been on, in terms of some of these, let's be honest, quite complex supply chain issues, regenerative agriculture, no abbreviations here. There's a lot of quite complicated things in the world of sustainability. For a lot of people who might be in advertising and marketing, it might not be their sort of usual language. How do you then turn these things into something that energizes your colleagues, who energizes the brands that you guys have?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there is a lot of complexity, and actually I think that's why we have a view that you don't have to have an S in your title to be able to champion sustainability. And by sustainability, we know that's a problematic word, but for this context, it's about, making sure that our impact on the planet and people is as powerful as our impact on profit. And we call that the triple win. So I think the first thing that we've done to get marketeers excited is this is a growth opportunity, that it's not a risk to be managed. And I think with that sort of change in flipping the script, if you like, I think you have to show and not tell. So I think the thing to do with marketeers is not put fear into them. I think there's been too much fear in this conversation for marketeers. I wrote a piece a little while back, we try and motivate, not terrify. When people are backed into a corner, whether it's a climate crisis corner or any other corner, I don't think that brings out the best creativity. I think when the opportunity to really rethink the way we make, produce, move products to consumers that are better than the ones we've got today, that's something you can get after with marketeers. And the other thing that we've done is celebrate the fact that if this is about behavioural and attitudinal change, if we have to help people think differently about how they surround themselves in their worlds by making different choices, that is the job of marketing. Fundamentally, that, we can't have it both ways as marketeers. We say that we're here to influence consumers, but not unless it's too difficult when it comes to climate change. So I think the way that we have found the best path through in the last few years, and still lots of work to do, but to try and help our 1,600 marketeers see this as an opportunity in the same way, here we are in Cannes, the opportunity of AI comes with some threats. The opportunity of sustainability comes with some threats of inaction predominantly. But I think if we talk about it as an opportunity rather than a risk to be managed and for somebody else to take care of, regardless of whether you've got an S in your title, if you're responsible for growth, then this is a job for you.
Deb, what an important reminder, more carrot rather than stick. There's a piece of research that we published with WARC recently to look at the 100 most effective campaigns globally over a decade, that also hammered home the point that actually this is more effective because a lot of sustainability work done really well is just simply more emotional. I think the challenge, though, is as mentioned earlier, is this sort of dynamic between sustainability, marketing. There's a lot of legislation coming in that more speaks to the sort of risk thing. It's not as interesting for a CMO. You become a little bit more fearful. Preeti, in sort of getting sustainability right, how do you get all these teams to collaborate, to work together towards the same goal? How do you manage that?
I do not manage it. I think it has to be organic.
Yeah.
I think it has to be organic. It has to come from within. And that coming from within happens over time, happens once you've built trust, once you've shown the results. And I come from the world of sustainability, and I think all three of us have heard about it before earlier in the day. We are not in denial. We know that the sustainability language and the world of sustainability data can be heavy, can be boring, can be even disengaging in some sense. We know that. But we also know that we bring that piece of credibility, the strong, solid foundation to marketing, that you can fly with it once you have that. So we give you that basis to do that. And I think that's the expectation setting that every organization has to do internally. That this is, I think, like how Deb said, it's not about it's my job or your job. It's about creating the clear governance around, I give you this, you run with the campaign. And you mentioned legislation. I really want to call it out that we've had legislations around financials for a really long time. Nobody complained about that. Everybody gets their financial reports audited. Nobody complained about that. So we're just getting the sustainability world in order. So let's not complain about that. Just because you don't like broccoli doesn't mean it's not good for you. Right? So I think it's worth it going through the motions of legislation. It's worth it having a sustainability team doing the legwork for you. There is no shortcut to the implementation work that they do for you. But I think at the same time, once they have done that legwork, the onus of responsibility moves to marketing to take it and create something meaningful and powerful, but credible at the same time. And the way we have maneuvered it within Asahi is we have shared governance. We don't have a sustainability tool. We've taken the marketing tool and integrated sustainability into it. We've taken the legal tool and integrated sustainability into it. And we've created shared targets. So CO2 reduction is not just my target, it's a target for the entire leadership of the company. So I think these are some of the actions that you can do to just accelerate the momentum, but it has to come from within. It has to be the purpose of the company to want to do that. Otherwise, one tool and one target is not going to game change it.
Preeti, thank you so much for that. And I think you started with very modest answers saying I don't really have the solution, but I do actually honestly believe that you found a very tangible solution, which is let's try and align these things, because I think one of the things that have changed over the years is that I felt sustainability was this strange add-on in a strategy, etc. There was this idea about a sustainable brand. It doesn't exist as brand, and that's it. Let's get those things together. That's a challenge. Maddy, obviously you work with diverse organizations, diverse brands over the years, and one of the things that you are obviously trying to do is turn this actionable, making it into a competitive advantage. What are some of the sort of challenges, opportunities that you have found in that work over the years?
So the main challenge is enabling this kind of collaboration, because Preeti's given a brilliant answer there, and the inspiration that sustainability can be the source of brilliant, bold marketing that does create that competitive edge. And that's the ideal state we need to get to. But a lot of marketers are really fearful. Deb, as you're saying, like it needs to be motivating, not full of kind of the terror involved. I think one of the things that a lot of brands face is how to bring together the Mars, the Venus, Jupiter, Saturn of the different departments. So sustainability, marketing, legal, compliance, they're fundamentally different humans. They all have very, very different brain types, process information in different ways, very different targets. So I think, as Preeti's saying here, we've got to bring everyone together with a common goal of what we're aiming for, and enable the workflow, give people the tools to be able to collaborate really effectively. And that's one of the key things we've created and clients are finding most valuable within the Flourish platform is the workflow. It's the ability to turn a sustainability truth into marketing messages, because the marketers can't cope with all of the science. Like, it's full on detail and robust, and they shouldn't have to, but it's hard work. So enabling the transformation of those insights, that truth, into marketing messaging, automating that is a really powerful application of AI. But then cross-referencing that with all of the laws and to make sure that it's all super compliant. So supercharged collaboration.
I think there's a point there's an educational journey as well for marketeers in general. It does take time. It's something the World Federation of Advertisers have pointed out, that there is a lack of understanding of sustainability in advertising and marketing in general. But I think, though, to give the marketeers a little bit of respect here and the creatives, I think, and we're here at a creativity festival, creativity is problem solving, and it's so amazing to see when these things actually come together and work really, really well. I'm actually happy to have seen over the last 10 to 15 years in Cannes more and more great work actually nailing it and solving this stuff. And I think especially when it comes to this topic of behavior change, because I think that you're very right in what you said. We've been applying this to push more product. Of course we can apply that for giving people better choices. I mean, Lisa, your organization have been around for quite a few years. You have a quite targeted approach in terms of how you work with behavior change, in terms of how you work with agencies and brands to educate them around this stuff. Is there anything right now, because we talked about unification, goals, methodologies, but the end results, let's talk a little bit about the end results, the campaigns. Are there anything now that sort of excites you, where you're like, oh, this is spot on?
Yeah. So I think just to come back to the point on education first, I think that's really crucial. And what I kind of see is a lot of people, and I was client side for 10 years on drinks brands, so very similar to these lovely ladies, and then in creative agencies. And I think one of the things is people knowing kind of where to start. And we've got a training platform called Change to Brief, which has been around for 4 years now, is kind of a market leading sort of education platform, both for people in agencies, but also kind of clients have signed up as well. And that gives people a really good starting point in terms of their sort of journey on, so what is climate, what's my role within this, what does it mean across different sectors. So I think that's quite interesting, just education and learning. There's a big journey for people to go on, and it is a different skill set. From a campaign point of view, I was just going to talk about Agency for Nature, which is a campaign we've just run for the second year. So this is basically a pop-up kind of agency called Agency for Nature, where we bring together people from different advertising agencies. So 5 different agencies this year was AMV, VCCP, Iris, House 337 and Droga 5. And at the heart of it, it's about training through participation, but also collaboration. So they're coming together to build campaigns that go out in the world through media partners, where the client is nature, and the brief is to put nature into youth culture. So looking at how kind of nature currently is, delicate and pretty and all of those things, and they have completely flipped it. So we were sort of talking a bit earlier about like creative constraints, and the ideas they came up with this year were around like drag and the extravagance of nature, and goth and the dark underworld of nature, and AI talking tree, putting it into football, putting it into street fashion. So really bringing through like a different side of nature. Like we've all talked a lot about sustainability needs a rebrand. It's not quite the right word. Same with climate. Like that's tricky. It's far away, both geographically and in a temporal way. And so talking about nature as a gateway into that is a really good way to do it. So I think it's really interesting to look at, like you say, the level of creativity and the different ways in which people are starting to make work that is really aspirational. And I think that's what's needed. Like people don't need to be told off anymore or frightened. Like we've tried that for about the last decade and everyone's just looking away. And so actually what we need now is our industry, and brands play a role in this as well, to be at the forefront of making it aspirational and making it cool and fun and interesting and sexy and all the great and quirky and funny and all the great things that this industry does.
I think what you're saying there is right, and I love the bringing together of creative minds to rethink how we can personify nature, because actually we've done quite a bit of work across our brands at Diageo, and we call it the tiebreaker research, and it's about this idea that the category drivers, why I would like to choose a Guinness or a Baileys, will remain the things that have always been true: taste, accessibility. But the thing that can now, we've proven it statistically, that you can nudge a purchase towards a more sustainable brand if you talk about the sustainable benefit, whether it's a genuine sustainable benefit that has been measured and underwritten, can increase purchase intent. So, a lot of the questions that we have had over the last few years are, we have taken actions for our brands. We haven't talked about them yet. Should we talk about them? And if we do, how do we do it compliantly? The next level for us is now actually when we talk about it creatively as well as compliantly, what that can unlock appeal to more consumers. So purchase intent is a measure that we all use as marketeers, that talks about how many people does our brand appeal to. And actually now we are looking at when you add a sustainability claim to a core brand claim. So for example, this brand has been around for 200 years and is now lighter than it used to be, substantiation, that can increase the people that the brand appeals to versus the original claim. So I think this idea of creativity in how you tell the stories is really key. The thing I want to really, really challenge marketeers to think about in this area as well is we're not just the colouring in department. So I think there's a real risk in this conversation and many conversations where we relegate the job of marketeers in sustainability to campaigns. That is very important. We need to change the brain print, as we would talk about make sustainable choices more aspirational. But honestly, as marketeers, we need to come up with new solutions for consumers that are more sustainable and more desirable. So I feel like we need to be having quite a big conversation with marketeers, which is it's not just about creating the posters or the comms campaign for the stuff that you believe you can talk about. It's fundamentally looking at how you create and move your product and thinking about disruptive business models. So if we can give a few examples, but innovation is where creativity lies, as well as the comms and the campaigns, because otherwise I think we underestimate the work that needs to happen, and we actually undercall the power of marketing and the marketing function to give consumers better products that happen to be better for them, better for the planet, and better for profit.
It's such a good point. I think as an industry we've been so focused on just the performance, the sort of tip of the iceberg, but actually forgot all the stuff underneath the water level. What are we actually doing? And I think we are seeing in can more and more really amazing, innovative solutions to sustainability problems. I mean, let's see how it goes for Apple's AirPods with a hearing aid, but it has been doing good rounds on other award shows, which is a typical example of how you can take the innovation that have from music and actually help so many million people around the world, to a point where I actually thought I need to buy one of those for my dad because he's running around with a hearing aid. So yes, definitely something around innovation there. I think, and I liked your point, Preeti, about saying, and I think this is the real creative spirit, take optimism, look at legislation as optimism. But I think at the moment probably a lot of marketeers are like, how do we get this balance right? I mean, I really want to tell this amazing aspirational story. I'm just a little bit afraid of getting in trouble. So how do you deal with that in your organization? How do you make sure that we still push forward?
I'm sure all of you live in different countries. You've gone to your grocery stores and you've seen the labels on the brands that we are all seeing. Green, quote unquote, eco-friendly, quote unquote. Things that really have no meaning at all.
Thank you for bringing that up. No, but we need that honesty.
But at the same time, I still love it because somewhere it makes me feel that the brands want to embrace sustainability. They're trying, they're just not sure where to maneuver, where to go. And I'm giving them the benefit of doubt that the intent is good and they're still trying to figure it out. I think around greenwashing or misleading, just don't do it. It's bad, period. I think there's no discussion around it. But if you have good intent and you want to give your brand a halo with sustainability, the room for creativity, I totally understand, is getting curbed. And not just the room for creativity, I think the time. A campaign could run out of our organization, let's say, in X weeks, and now the time has doubled because I have factored in sustainability checks on the claims that they make, based on the regions that they're going to sell into, different legislations, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's only a matter of resetting the mindset, right? It's just a matter of using tools, potentially, that can still reduce the time lag back to the X, right? Taking away the data part, the credibility part as a health check anyway. So then you don't invest too much time on it. We're not there yet. We're still doing it rigorously for every brand. I think if you take that away and give marketing the free rein to still go wild and create a campaign that they can be proud of, I think they can still do it. I think there's this apprehension and fear, rightfully so, and I want them to have that apprehension and fear because the damage control is much worse than a successful campaign. I would rather be cautious than sorry. If you've looked at the greenwashing stories and the backlash on the brands that have even tread close to the third rail, I think it's really damaging. But at the same time, and I've heard that from my marketing team, Preeti, you're crushing your creative spirit. And I said, I hear you, but hang with me for a few years, right? Let's just go through it together. Once you get the tools, the processes, the governance, the style of it, the time, it'll be smooth sailing. It's just the rough initial part of it, and I don't want the marketeers to give up just because it's tough. Come on, you've done better on some bigger challenges in this world than just climate change. And I think it's time for the creative storytellers to take this on as a creative spirit and say that we can actually crack this with all the boundaries that we've been given.
Constraints are where the best creativity is as well. So
yeah, they definitely are. I think I love that, Preeti. And one thing that I think is so important for marketers to have is that truth from the beginning, because if they don't have the absolute truth and the facts from the beginning, they can end up with that creative compromise. You're all trying to create kind of world-leading, brilliant creative. It's all about the awards and being absolutely stunning. That's kind of the marketer's dream of Cannes. But it's very difficult for them to get to that point if things have to go through compliance and end up being diminished because it's not quite legal enough. And the legal teams are too scared of the greenwashing regulations, so then they're really cautious. Had an awesome train journey here, obviously walking the walk, getting the train to Cannes from London. And it was with the guy that had been the general counsel for Unilever for 15 years. And he loved the idea of the Flourish platform because he's like, oh my goodness, rather you can give people, it's the seeds for the campaigns. That's the genesis of the idea for the campaign. It is the creative unlock. So that's where actually these laws are super healthy creative constraint. You start with that truth of the seed of the idea, then you can work the magic with it, with the real creative process, but you know you're going to be able to get it signed off through legal because it's authentic from the beginning. And that's ultimate authentic marketing that all marketers want.
And you're absolutely right. I think constraint drives better creativity. We're also faced with the constraint of time. So we will unfortunately have to wrap this up. But I just want one sort of very, very quick piece of advice to people out there that makes them believe in building more boldly and better. So just a very, very quick advice to our audience here today. So let's kick off with you, Lisa.
I mean, controversially, I would say sit with the questions. So I think we're conditioned to think we should have all the answers. This is complex and uncertain and ever-changing. So my advice would be, like, what is the boldest question you're sitting with? And to kind of pay attention to the questions that you have.
I would say for all the marketeers out there that are currently hoping that somebody else is taking care of this thing.
Nobody's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you. And actually, on a personal level, the minute I realised when I was responsible for growth, I was also responsible for positive impact on planet and people. It has given me a new lease of life in my career. And because now I'm in love with the problem of how do I create a growth trajectory for the brand I work on, and in doing so, create a better legacy on planet and people. It's just, it's very scary at first, but it'll give you, I hope, like it has me, a sort of a new lease of career life. So that's me.
I don't think I'm in a position to give any advice. I just think I can only request for a call of action to the sustainability heroes, to the creative heroes, to just step out of your comfort zone, get together, and I know that you can smash it and create some magic, just sustainability and marketing together.
So it might seem like the least sexy topic, but actually value chain data is the sexiest career-defining gold that all marketers are sitting on. So when it's genuine impact of sustainability transformation, it's incredible brand value, and you've already spent the money. The businesses have already spent all of that money. It's sitting on the balance sheet. Alchemize that into world-leading, brilliant marketing creative that can really change audience behavior, drive growth, but for the right kind of products and experiences. That's the kind of future marketing that we really, really need. So embrace your value chain.
Thank you so much. So much valuable advice here today. This should be simple. I don't believe you can work in advertising. I don't believe you can win one of those very, very coveted lions here today if you don't have that one thing, boldness. I think that's what drives our industry forward. So if you're not bold enough to move on sustainability, probably go work in a bank. And that's the last we had to say to you here today. Thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you another time in Cannes. Thank you.